What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about what it's like driving in Norway versus the United States. Driving in Norway compared to the United States, I would imagine there's actually a lot of differences just because the roads in the United States are very normal. But the geographical features and the crazy roads in Norway are just so unique, and honestly, some of the most beautiful and most amazingly constructed roads I've ever seen are in Norway. And I just feel like with all the interesting kind of strange ways of traveling around Norway and maybe in the cities too, that there's gotta be a lot of differences between how you drive in Norway versus the United States. I don't know if the laws are going to be different or there's anything like that that's going to actually surprise me a bit, but I'm really, really curious to see what driving in Norway is actually like and how it compares to the US. So with that being said, let's take a look.
Today we're going to run through 11 tips for tourists who plan on driving their way around Norway.
Okay.
It's a very modern country with excellent infrastructure, so it's remarkably easy to get around.
I'm sorry, I just gotta say, even these little clips he's showing, this is ridiculous, scenery.
It's a very modern country.
This is ridiculous. You're driving through mountains. Okay, I'll stop.
With excellent infrastructure, so it's remarkably easy to get around. But there are some nuances which are worth understanding before you get started.
Okay. So the narrator's already saying, Norway, very technological, very smart, very innovative. So the infrastructure of the roads is actually very, very good. That does not surprise me. But he is also saying there's some details, some nuances that are a little different in Norway with regards to roads and driving. Wow. Oh my gosh.
The first tip is understanding the legal blood alcohol limit for when you're driving. This is important because in Norway, it's very, very low. If you're on vacation, chances are you'll be having a few drinks. Maybe with dinner, maybe at lunch. But you should know ahead of time that the legal limit is just 0.02.
Wow. Okay, this is actually a really good one. This is again, making my respect for Norway go up and up. So, not surprisingly, Norway has a more strict blood alcohol limit while driving, so it is safer. You are going to get in trouble if you've been drinking even a little bit and go driving in Norway. This is very interesting because I feel like this would actually affect Americans a lot. Sadly, in my personal experience, it does seem that many Americans will drink several drinks and feel totally fine driving home. And I'm sure there's so many actual over the limit drunk driving in America as well compared to other countries. So Norway sounds like the complete opposite, where it's very, very strict and therefore everyone is aware. All Norwegians are aware, okay, I'm not going to drink too much and go driving, which just makes it more safe.
And you could be over that limit after a single drink.
Wow.
If you compare that to most states in the US, which is 0.08, and the UK also 0.08, you can see why this is a critical thing to be aware of.
Wow. Oh my gosh. This would absolutely... This is shocking to me. This would be shocking to so many Americans. One drink in Norway and you could be over the limit. You can't drive. Oh my gosh. That is so different than America. Wow. Does that mean when you go to restaurants or out partying or out for dinner, sort of everyone is aware of, okay, if you have a drink, someone needs to either not drink or we have to be here a long time and make sure our blood alcohol limit goes down? Or is it kind of like a lot of Norwegians have a drink and basically are over the limit when they go driving? Because one drink being illegal and driving, I feel like a lot of Norwegians, does this actually cause a lot of people to break the law and just hope they don't get caught? I'm really wondering about this now. But yeah, as you can see, that is 1/4 the amount as the United States. You can be 4 times drunker in the US and drive. Wow.
The penalties are very harsh, and if you get caught out, it could completely ruin your vacation.
Wow. Wow. And the penalties are harsh as well. Wow. Well, I guarantee doing all this definitely, I mean, it must make drunk driving and drunk driving accidents much, much rarer in Norway, which is really great. That's a great thing to strive for.
Tip number 2 is to be prepared to pay a lot of money in tolls.
Oh.
As you can see from this invoice that we received at the end of our trip, over 9 days, we incurred 26 different toll charges.
Oh my gosh, why are there so many tolls in Norway? I didn't know there were so many, like just driving around Norway? Like there's a lot of toll booths, or I think I saw in a different video, Norway has a lot of systems that scan your license plate and bill you later. I don't, that's not really very common in America. That's actually super cool. Norway is very technologically advanced. But I wonder why there's so many tolls. Like, what's that about?
This worked out to be roughly $10 per day of driving.
Wow.
Not outrageously high, but it's an extra expense nonetheless.
No, America, this is like, that is high to Americans. Like when I go driving like in between states and I'm with friends, we get annoyed when there's like a $2 toll. We're like, oh my gosh, $2, man, are you kidding me? But in Norway, it averaged them $10 a day? What? Wow, that's not a ton of money, you know, I get it, but it's so much more than in the United States that it kind of sticks out. Man.
Number 3 is one of the more...
Oh, they don't say why? Huh. Oh, that's too bad. So they're not even going to explain why that is. Is it just like traveling in between cities, traveling in between regions and towns? Like everyone has a toll road, or what? I wonder why there's so many tolls. Oh.
Is one of the more unexpected things I learned about Norway while driving around the country. And that is how interesting the tunnels can be. Now I know what you're thinking, this is normally incredibly mundane and boring. But by the 3rd or 4th day, I started to notice that no 2 tunnels seemed to be alike. It was
Wow, no, this isn't boring. This is not mundane. Most American tunnels look like that, right there. 2 lanes, big, with lights. I've actually never seen a tunnel like this.
Things I learned about Norway while driving around the country.
This. I have never seen a tunnel like this. This is like very natural looking. This would kind of scare me. It's like you're going into a cave or something. So even so, we're saying there's a lot more tunnels in Norway. I mean, depending on where you live in America, there's no tunnels around where I live. Like it's honestly pretty rare in America to have a tunnel. Yeah, it's pretty darn rare actually, like when I think about it. And nothing that looks like this looks super cool, actually.
Incredibly mundane and boring. But by the 3rd or 4th day, I started to notice that no 2 tunnels seemed to be alike. It was almost like a network of fingerprints all around Norway where no 2 were alike.
Yeah, that's actually super cool. Especially these natural tunnels. Doesn't Norway have the longest car tunnel in the world as well? I think so.
And strangely, I started to look forward to going into tunnels.
Yeah.
But I'm very aware how strange it is to say that out loud.
Wow. This must seem so weird to Norwegians, but this is so cool. Like, I've never been in a car tunnel like this. This looks like a cave or something, and it's so long. Wow.
We have 8 more tips still to go, but if you're enjoying the video so far, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We release a new video every week which will hopefully inspire your next road trip or travel destination.
Alright, I gave it a like.
Number 4 will come as no surprise that in an expensive country like Norway, renting a car will be a huge part of your vacation costs.
Yeah.
To make sure you get the best deal, we recommend 2 things. First,
Yeah, like sometimes there are countries or cities around the world, like, I don't know, in London, the UK, or Toronto in Canada, where you can get away with using public transportation. For the most part, you can take buses and the underground metro or streetcars or Uber. Does Norway have a lot of Ubers? I don't know. But Norway, just by how it's designed and how you really want to travel all over Norway, and there's a lot of countryside and open areas, it really seems like you almost have to rent a car while you're there if you're going to get any kind of like real experience outside of just staying in one city like Oslo the whole time.
Your vacation costs. To make sure you get the best deal, we recommend two things. First, make sure any rental you get comes with unlimited kilometers or miles. This can really amp up the cost of your rental if you drive long distances.
Yeah. Oh, you can get unlimited miles? That sounds very important.
The second is to use a comparison website like rentalcars.com. This will scan a number of different rental providers and give you a lot of choice so you can select the best value deal for you. We've included a link in the description.
Nice.
Number 5 will give you a window into what kind of wildlife you'll expect driving around Norway.
Oh my gosh. What is this even? Is this a goat or a lamb? This is another one of the biggest differences to one I didn't even think about. Driving in Norway versus driving in the United States is the wildlife you would see. Like in America, if you see a cow, sometimes you pass by a farm and you'll see a cow. People go crazy. Americans go nuts. We're like, oh my gosh, there's cows! And the cows are just standing there, like doing nothing. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Or maybe sometimes a horse. Cows and horses, maybe, on a long American road trip. But Norway, I can't even imagine.
Sheep.
Sheep.
Expect at some point you're going to come across sheep just standing on the road, very near the road. Or
Whoa. Yeah, the sheep are really close to the road. So you could like if you're an American tourist, you could really almost get in an accident. Because if I was driving around Norway, I would not have been thinking, oh, there could be a random sheep. I would never have thought of that. This is actually really important.
Perhaps just hanging out in a car park. Either way, they can be a bit of a hazard if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So be patient with the sheep. They're adorable. Let them go on their way and they won't bother you.
Wait, who owns all these sheep? Are these just wild sheep? Or are they like part of a farm? Or are sheep wandering around Norway that much? I've never heard of that. I've heard of like reindeer in Norway or moose, but not sheep. You could accidentally get into a car crash if you're not paying attention, if you don't know this. Wow. Yeah, they have tags on their ears, so someone owns them. They're just allowed to like wander around. I gotta say, Americans would really love this. Americans love cute little farm animals because we very rarely get to see them.
If you want a picture with them, now's the time.
Wait,
Going there.
he's just going inside?
Number 6. Expect to take a lot of ferries. When you're driving around the fjords, there can't be bridges and tunnels to get you everywhere you need to go. A lot of the road connections are done with these large ferries where you can drive straight onto them and
the video before this one, I literally just learned about ferries in Norway. I had no idea how amazing the ferries in Norway are, how common they are, how much a part of Norwegian travel and culture they are, and you can drive onto them. You can drive onto them with your car. Like, I don't think any Americans realize that. Like, the ferries around the United States are just for tourism, for fun. Not even for traveling, really, to get from place to place. Sometimes, but in Norway, these ferries have a very practical purpose, and you can drive on them with your car. It's mind-blowing.
They take you back and forth across the water channels.
Yeah.
And while this will slow you down, it's actually a fairly seamless process, and we didn't come across any major holdups.
I would be so nervous. I would be so nervous because you gotta like line up the correct way and drive onto it. I'm sure it's very simple. Once you do it, it's like probably very easy, but Americans have never, ever in our entire life done this or had their car on a boat in the water. So the whole thing is just makes me a little nervous.
But you do need to factor this into your driving time when you're planning out your itinerary.
Right.
But sometimes it can be a welcome break from the car so you can get out, stretch your legs, enjoy the view and the breeze in your hair.
Yeah, I gotta say, Norwegians, this might be kind of like old to them, but this seems so fun and so cool. And you get to get out of your car and you're on a boat. Suddenly you're on a boat, which seems so fun.
There's a very nice inside area with big windows so you can enjoy the view without all the cold wind.
Wow.
Copping out here. Plus a cafe, bathrooms, all that.
Nice.
While we're on the topic of potential delays...
Okay, well, you know what? This video is honestly pretty long, and I'm really enjoying this. This is great, so I'm not gonna rush this. I'm gonna stop here for now and continue this in part 2. So if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in part 2 of this video, driving in Norway compared to driving in America, and you're interested in maybe more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.